And I always get asked that question, how come you still have Murphy? Blah, 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 blah. I'm like, listen, I was married to that man for years, okay? I earned my name. I deserve my name. I have 5 children with that name. I didn't see any harm in keeping my last name. It doesn't matter.
Well, well, well. It looked like Nicole Murphy had finally closed the chapter on the Eddie Murphy saga, didn't it? She was out here saying loud and proud that no matter what, they'd always be family, and even vowed to carry his last name forever.
In Hollywood, it was after I did Coach Carter, and I saw Eddie Murphy and Johnny Gill tongue kissing, and this is like out in public. So a lot of the things that y'all think, they do.
But behind that picture-perfect smile, whispers say Nicole never really wanted the divorce at all. Allegedly, she was pushed into it, fed up with Eddie's wandering ways and those suspiciously close bonds he kept with certain big names in the industry. And that's where the story takes a sharp turn, because one name just keeps popping up: Johnny Gill. Now sure, men can be tight friends, no problem there. But Eddie and Johnny, they were moving in ways that had people talking non-stop. Matching jewelry, yes, identical bracelets, like some kind of secret signal. And then the real bombshell dropped. Johnny supposedly went as far as taking a lie detector test just to shut down all the whispers about whether he and Eddie were just friends.
And the women that they're married to wouldn't believe a word you said about them. And these are the reason why we have to start speaking out. Because these men who are famous or straight or perceived to be these macho guys are coming out behind their wives, their children, having oral sex, being the women behind their women.
Can you imagine being Nicole, watching your husband's friendship get so questioned that someone had to bring out a polygraph machine? That's not the recipe for a fairy tale marriage. That's a recipe for chaos. And here's where it gets even wilder. Word on the street says Nicole herself started to wonder if all that chatter might hold some truth. The things she allegedly saw, the things she supposedly heard, way too much to brush off as gossip, which leaves us with the scandalous question everyone's been whispering for years. What was really going down between Eddie Murphy and Johnny Gill? See, long before the Johnny Whispers took over the headlines, Eddie Murphy was already raising eyebrows for the situations he kept slipping into. Sure, on the surface he had that Hollywood lineup, actresses, models, the whole roster, and the kids to prove he was living that family man image. But insiders have always claimed those flashy romances were more like smoke screens, distractions from what Eddie was really caught up in. And then came the scandal that nearly torpedoed his career for good. Flashback to 1997. Eddie's riding through West Hollywood at around 4 in the morning when police pull him over for what should have been a routine traffic stop. But what happened next had Hollywood buzzing like never before, because sitting in that car was 20-year-old transgender escort Addison Shalimar Ali. The revelation spread like wildfire, and the industry instantly went into a frenzy.
Eddie Murphy tells E.T. that his wife and children were out of town, says he wanted something to read and went to a late-night newsstand. He stopped here and picked up the suspected transsexual at 4:45 in the morning. He says he thought he was aiding a distraught woman.
Looks like a pretty Hawaiian girl in the corner crying. It looks like she was crying. She goes, "Oh, Eddie Murphy." She noticed him at the light. She recognized Eddie Murphy. Oh my God. It's like, what are you doing? Why are you out here working the streets so late? She goes, "Oh, I'm on my way home. Can you give me a ride home?"
Police tailed them for 2 miles before pulling him over.
When pressed, Eddie tried to play it cool, claiming he was just helping someone out. But that explanation never sat right with the public, especially when people noticed Nicole and the kids weren't even in town at the time. To many, it looked less like kindness and more like Eddie was living a secret double life, one that unraveled the second blue lights hit that car. That single night left a stain on his reputation that Hollywood never fully forgot. And then there was Octavia Street Lauren, who added gasoline to the fire. Octavia was bold, fearless, and openly living her truth as a transgender woman. She had no problem speaking out about anyone. Word is she and Eddie allegedly had their own thing going on, but she was furious that he kept her in the shadows, like he was embarrassed to let the world know. Octavia didn't bite her tongue either. She called him out publicly, daring him to deny their connection and making it crystal clear she wasn't lying about what they had. And here's the kicker. All of this was happening while Eddie was still married to Nicole. Can you imagine the tabloids at that time? They went absolutely wild, and the streets couldn't stop talking. When those divorce papers hit, everyone was buzzing. What really pushed Nicole out of that marriage? Whispers say it wasn't just Eddie's late-night scandals that wore her down, but also his way too close bonds with certain male friends. And right at the center of those whispers, none other than R&B star Johnny Gill. Now let's be real. These Eddie and Johnny rumors didn't just appear overnight. They go all the way back to the 90s, when fans started side-eyeing just how inseparable the two seemed. From matching accessories to moving like a package deal, people swore it looked a lot deeper than just bros. And for Nicole, that cloud of suspicion never really left her marriage. It was always there, hanging heavy. Even when Eddie's whirlwind marriage to Tracy Edmonds crashed and burned after just 2 weeks, guess who was right there in the middle of the drama? Johnny Gill. Out of nowhere, Johnny started giving interviews, pointing fingers at Tracy's mom, Lillian, as the reason behind the split. That move was so bold, it left everybody shocked. But Tracy wasn't about to let it slide. She clapped back instantly, calling Johnny out and telling him flat out to stay out of her business. She labeled his comments outrageous lies, blasting him for using her pain as a desperate attempt to clean up his own image. And she didn't stop there. Tracy added, "I would appreciate it if Mr. Gill would refrain from continuing to spread false gossip and lies to the public and allow everyone involved to move on with their lives. We all know the real truth." That last line, "we all know the real truth," sent shockwaves through the gossip mill. What truth was Tracy hinting at? And why did Johnny feel bold enough to speak on Eddie's marriage like he had insider access? The way it all played out made it look like Johnny's role in Eddie's personal life was way deeper than he ever admitted, and people haven't stopped speculating since. And just when people thought the whispers might finally cool down, another jaw-dropping revelation exploded across the blogs. One of Johnny's ex-girlfriends came forward and straight up confessed she had to walk away from their relationship because of how suspiciously close Johnny and Eddie were. She admitted, "Johnny and Eddie have always been very close friends, but I could not compete with their relationship." Imagine that, breaking up with your man, not because of another woman, but because of his best friend. That confession only poured gasoline on the fire, making everyone wonder what was really happening between Eddie and Johnny. The whole thing sounded strange, almost too strange to brush off. Sources even swore that back when Eddie and Nicole were married, Johnny wasn't just around. He was literally living in the guest house on Eddie's property. Picture Nicole trying to manage her marriage while her husband's best friend was just a few steps away at all times. That setup alone had people whispering nonstop, and the pressure on Nicole must have been unreal. And now, the talk in the streets is that Eddie and Johnny weren't just close friends. They've allegedly been tied together all this time, with the puzzle pieces finally connecting. Insiders even claim they're still creeping around today, especially at those elite Hollywood parties where everyone conveniently looks the other way. One former escort even claimed that at a Wild Diddy party, he saw Eddie and Johnny getting down in the corner and said he was flat out shocked by what he witnessed. Johnny, of course, didn't take that lightly and allegedly threatened to sue for defamation. But instead of backing off, the escort doubled down, insisting he had no reason to lie and wasn't hiding from anybody. That bold stance made the story even messier, because in Hollywood, these kinds of DL rumors don't usually pop out of nowhere. They almost always come from somewhere. Like the saying goes, where there's smoke, there's fire. And when it comes to Eddie and Johnny's alleged relationship, those flames have been burning for decades. To a lot of people, it's just impossible to believe that all of these stories are simply made up. After all, why is it that nobody's ever seen Johnny Gill seriously coupled up with a high-profile woman on his arm? Not once. But what do we see time and time again? Johnny standing right next to Eddie Murphy. And don't forget, Eddie himself already got caught in that infamous late-night scandal when police stopped him with a transgender escort in the car. That arrest clung to his image like glue, and it's the piece of evidence people always drag back out whenever Eddie and Johnny's names come up together. So when folks try to dismiss this as just rumors, many people aren't buying it. Some even say they believe every single one of these whispers about Hollywood's hidden relationships. And the wild part, this isn't even new gossip. People were talking about Eddie and Johnny way back before most of us were grown. The industry has been buzzing with this chatter for decades, and every time someone tries to sweep it under the rug, a fresh piece of tea somehow spills out. At this point, it doesn't even sound like gossip anymore. It sounds like Hollywood's worst-kept secret. The way fans see it, Eddie and Johnny's bond has always been a little too deep to be explained away as just friendship. Hollywood insiders swear it's always been an open secret. You didn't even need to dig. Everyone in the business already knew the whispers. They just didn't dare say it out loud. It was like an unspoken rule. Don't question why Johnny always lingered in Eddie's shadow. Don't question why they moved like a package deal. But the streets noticed, the tabloids noticed, and even their peers quietly admitted it behind closed doors. What makes it even wilder is how many people over the years have dropped little hints without ever spelling it out. Former assistants, party promoters, old friends, they've all slipped tidbits suggesting Eddie and Johnny were way more than best buds. And no matter how many times these rumors get buried, they just keep clawing their way back to the surface. Think about it. Decades have flown by. Eddie's been married, divorced, caught up with a string of women, and linked to countless flings. But somehow Johnny's name always creeps back into the mix. It's almost like that bond between them outlasted everything else, and that's exactly why so many believe this isn't just recycled Hollywood gossip. It feels way too consistent to ignore. The wild part is, it's the kind of truth nobody in their circle ever wants to put on record. But for Nicole, this wasn't just chatter, it was her real life. Imagine being married to one of the biggest stars on the planet, raising a family, and at the same time constantly hearing whispers about your husband's special friendship with another man. That would eat away at anybody. Sources say Nicole was torn in two. On one hand, she desperately wanted to keep her family intact, but on the other, the endless rumors about Eddie and Johnny left her embarrassed, humiliated, and completely drained. Friends close to her claim she played the part of the perfect wife in public, smiling, posing, and showing grace. But behind closed doors, she was overwhelmed, carrying the weight of a marriage that seemed impossible to hold together. And the hardest part, to Nicole, it didn't even feel like she was competing with other women. She felt like she was competing with her husband's closest male friend. That cut way deeper, because this wasn't just about whispers of infidelity. This was about loyalty, about boundaries, about power. Nicole felt like she was sharing her marriage with someone who should have never had that much influence in the first place. Insiders still insist that one of the biggest reasons Nicole finally walked away was because the Eddie and Johnny chatter just would not stop. No matter how much she tried to tune it out, it was always there, louder and louder, following her like a shadow she couldn't shake. And if this saga proves anything, it's this. Some Hollywood rumors don't die. They live on, feeding the streets year after year. Eddie Murphy may have built an empire of blockbuster films, stand-up comedy, and a family brand, but through it all, the whispers about Johnny Gill have chased him every step of the way. He can't escape it. Nicole tried to stand tall, tried to smile through the humiliation, but even she couldn't outrun the noise that stalked her marriage from beginning to end. From lie detector tests to matching jewelry, from wild party confessions to girlfriends breaking up because of Eddie and Johnny's bond, the story just kept getting messier. And the craziest part, decades later, people still can't stop talking about it. Hollywood can brush it off as gossip. Eddie and Johnny can deny it or stay silent. But the fact that this conversation has survived for so long says it all. Fans are convinced there's something deeper there, which leaves us all with one burning question. Will the truth ever come out? Or will this remain one of Tinseltown's most infamous open secrets? Either way, Eddie and Johnny's connection is forever stamped into Hollywood history, and Nicole's heartbreak is permanently tied to that legacy. And if you thought this tea was hot, just wait until you see what's coming next. We've got even more explosive Hollywood secrets on the way. So don't forget to hit that like button, drop a comment, share this with your people, and of course, subscribe to the channel. See you on the next video.